Bonjour à toutes et à tous, soyez les bienvenus sur l'antenne d'Eurosport 2 pour vivre le week-end le plus attendu probablement ici en France en ce qui concerne le championnat du monde des voitures de tourisme, le week-end de Pau. Nous allons vivre au rythme des 7e et 8e manches de ce championnat du monde, WTCC, en compagnie bien sûr de...
All the cars now lined up on the grid, ready for the first race. And with Amy Pugh now wandering down the pit lane, looking at the cars, and there you can see how many people are on the grid and all the different cars there waiting, and that's a really packed grid.
Pau in southwestern France, one of the true drivers' tracks, and it's one that punishes every single mistake, no matter how slight. It is one that drivers just love as well. But you can have a bit of a torrid relationship with it, and Augusto Farfus has had the most torrid time so far this weekend. This high-speed accident at the end of qualifying could have been an awful lot worse. But if this was a normal circuit, says Farfus, I would have spun, maybe gone on the grass, that would have been it. But here with the barriers, the pavements, it's a very unique circuit, and I paid a hard price for that mistake. And that was the beginning of a very long afternoon and through the night session for the BMW Team Germany mechanics. They worked an all-nighter to get the car ready. Qualifying then was a francophone duel between Seat's Frenchman Yvan Muller and French-speaking Swiss Chevrolet driver Alain Menu, who claimed pole. You really have to attack this circuit hard. It doesn't feel easy, but it's good not to make any mistakes. It's so easy to get it wrong here. I had a fantastic lap, very happy. And so he should be. He is the first man to claim 2 pole positions this season. And that puts him, of course, in fine position to claim another race win. So Zandvoort in Holland and now Pau in southwestern France, both seeing the Chevrolet start on the front row of the grid. Penalty weight, well, Andy Priaulx likened 55 kilos on board the BMW to having his wife join him in the office, and Joe sitting alongside. Perhaps if you look at last year's maximum weights with 80 kilos, that's like having your wife and well, maybe 2 small children in the back of the car as well. So it gives you some idea of the kind of effect that the maximum weight ballast does have. And Jürg Müller and Andy Priaulx, both 55. Nicola Larini, 45 kilos. He's the best placed Chevrolet driver. He's 4th in the championship at the moment. But our pole sitter Alain Menu with just 5 kilos of success ballast remaining now after his race 1 win in Zandvoort. So cars on the grid, and we're getting ready for the start of round 7 of the championship, the first race here in Pau in France. And everybody should make it out onto the grid without dramas and without problems. Tom Coronel there, celebrating his 100th FIA World Touring Car and European Touring Car Championship race start. Congratulations, Tom. Cars on the grid in Pau in France, ready for the first of 3 race weekends on the street circuit in the 2007 FIA World Touring Car Championship from Pau and from Porto and from Macau in China. The cars will race around the streets 3 times this season. Pau and Porto both new to the calendar, and of course the championship decider, as it has been for the past 2 seasons, will be Macau and the streets of China. And the man you saw there, Andy Priaulx, the reigning world champion, has twice gone there with a chance of winning the title and twice come away with one of the greatest crowns in motorsport. Here's Great Britain's Rob Huff. The Chevrolet driver lines up in 5th position after what was a very strong performance in qualifying by the Lechettis. Alain Menu claiming pole position, and Rob Huff in 5th behind Nicola Larini in 4th place. So in the top 4 we have got 3 Chevrolets and Yvan Muller's sole Seat. We should have Augusto Farfus's BMW. He was 3rd fastest in qualifying, but After causing an avoidable accident with Tom Coronel and Stefano D'Asti in race 1 in Valencia, he has been handed a 10-place grid penalty. So he'll start 13th. And there's another driver who's in trouble with the law as well. Gabriele Tarquini was adjudged to have caused the 6-car first corner shunt at Valencia in race 1. And he too has had a 10-spot grid drop. He goes from 9th to 19th. Ivan Muller then, everywhere he looks, it's blue. Alongside him, Menu, blue. Behind him, Larini and Huff, blue. And behind them, Andy Priaulx, 6th on the grid. Jordi Genet, 7th. And Felix Porchero in 8th position. So 2 BMWs, 6th and 8th. But the rolling start here for the first race at Po should negate any starting advantage the BMWs have. It's all down to whether Alain Menu can get off pole and get into that first corner ahead of Ivan Muller. And since he controls the pace at the rolling start, then he has the very best chance of them all. Martin Haven here with David Leslie, just counting down the final moments before the race gets underway. And David, apprehensive time, of course, for all the drivers, but conditions could hardly be better. All they've got to do, of course, is file all these cars through this narrow metal-lined channel at high speed.
That is the biggest problem because, yes, you know, the guys, they're all geared up, they know what to do, they've done it so many times before, but when you're at a street circuit, getting around the first corner here at Po, it's a gentle it's a right-hander, but it's reasonably gentle. But you arrive then at the Gare corner. It's a tight right-hander, and that's where there will be a funneling into that corner. And these guys, remember, on the first race, it's a rolling start. Different from last year. This year, the first race, a rolling start. Second race, a standing start. You can see now all the spectators and everybody else that's been cleared off the circuit, off the start line. All that's left on there, or should be left on there now, is one mechanic per car with a battery to help open it up, to help start it up. But big discussion at the front there with various people, including the SEAT guys, SEAT management. Not sure what that's about, but there's obviously concern over something. We're not sure what it is, but there's the grid. Alain Menu, Ivan Muller, Tiago Montero, Nicola Larini 4th, Rob Huff 5th, Chevrolet's doing really well, Andy Priaulx next up, Jordi Genet, Porchero with the BMW, Oliver Tielman's best qualifying so far for the Alfa Romeo, Tom Coronel with the SEAT, James Thompson with his Alfa Romeo, and Anthony Beltoir's first to the Independents with his SEAT there. And Augusto Farfus down in 13th, he was the one who was third, but with that 10-place penalty down in 13th.
And Tarquini in 19th, suffering the same fate. And down towards the back, those that didn't have a good time, Emmett O'Brien wrecked his car, so did Luca Rangoni, and so did Pierre-Yves Courtals during qualifying. And a number of others had incidents. Olivier Tielemans ran into the barriers up at the top of Avenue Foch early in qualifying, but got it repaired, and he says somehow, I don't know how, managed to thread the car through quicker than even he thought was humanly possible. So he's out-qualified James Thompson for the first time. But here we go then, ready to get the warm-up lap underway. The final non-competitive tour of the circuit, led away by Alain Menu. And this is Anthony Beltoir's, Jean-Pierre Beltoir's Grand Prix driver of the 60s and 70s, son. Has onboard cameras and also onboard commentary gear to talk to the commentary teams live on French television with TF1. So as they wind their way around the circuit, enjoying the last moments of sunshine, the spectators will be, but the drivers will be focusing now, concentrating just to make sure all the temperature gauges and the pressures and everything are where they should be, that there are no dramas. And for Alain Menu, of course, this warm-up lap, David, becomes then the race start at its end. Around the Lycée hairpin, and this will doubtless be the source of some frustration on the first corner, the tightest corner on the track, and there's quite a good run up to it to spread out from the bridge and to try and make a move on the inside, but it is very deceptive. Very few overtaking opportunities on this circuit. As cars come up around the casino, because yes, Po has a casino just like Monaco and Macau as well. Cars streaming around the streets of Pau in the Atlantic Pyrenees foothills, southwest France, the venue for rounds 7 and 8 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship 2007. Martin Haven and David Leslie watching the action from on board with our world champion Andy Priaulx. And one of the facets of a street circuit is that probably the onboard cameras will break up a little more than at a wide open venue because of the proximity of all the buildings, the street furniture, and the big precipitous drops around the Pau circuit as well. Pau has been a street circuit venue since 1901. The French Grand Prix de Pau was run for the first time. One of the winners that day was Louis Renault in a self-built car. And then since 1935, with the exception of hiatus during the war years, they have held the Grand Prix de Pau every Pentecost weekend since then. Yvan Muller rubbing the car of Alain Menu, the pole sitter, on the warm-up lap behind the safety car. Menu with his thumb on the button talking to the team. The safety car pulls out and it'll be a long wait. Yvan Muller is determined to try and get into the first corner first, and look at them, they spread out 6 and 7 wide, and Muller's got the run on the outside line, but Alain Menu has got the inside line, the pole sitter. Can he get onto the brakes? Oh, somebody's sideways.
That's Tielemans.
That's Tielemans. Thompson gets through. Tielemans is facing backwards in the barriers. He should be able to rejoin. Nobody else seemed to be involved, and that's Rob Huff on the inside. Tielemans' car has lost its nose, but it's Menu that leads. Yvan Muller second, Montero in third, Larini inside Huff fourth and fifth, Porchero in sixth, got ahead of Andy Priaulx up at the Lycée hairpin with Yvan Muller. Now 19 laps, can he force the error out of Alain Menu that he wants? Coronel on the inside, looking back there from Beltoise. He's been held up in traffic. That's him climbing the curbs. And Stefano D'Aste and not Luca Angoni, Sergio Hernandez battling there as our leaders race up past the casino now through Beaumont and now through Foch, plunging downhill. This is a real rapid roller coaster circuit, David, and the track is going to spread out the combatants very quickly. But did you see already how far up Augusto Farfus had got? He's picked up a couple of places already from the grid.
Yeah, this circuit, these two guys really have been on top form all weekend, and they're going to stretch themselves away from the rest of it. But you've got Montero in third place, and right behind him the two other Chevrolets of Larini and Huff. But with it being so narrow, yes, it is going to stretch itself out a little bit. There's the yellow flag still being waved because of the Alfa Romeo around there. That's the crane ready to lift the car out of the way. It will lift it straight up and out of the way, but everyone's coming around there, and that was just unfortunate. He must have got tagged or something, because you see the thing spin round Tielemans in order for the Alfa Romeo to get stuck there. But James Thompson's still running around a little somewhat further back. But these two starting to stretch themselves away, and they know each other very well indeed from racing in touring cars for a number of years, in not only the World Touring Cars but also the British Touring Cars beforehand. And I think these two will actually stretch from everybody else, leaving Montero very much to try and fend off the other two Chevrolets.
Well, Montero's first lap 3 seconds slower than that of Alain Menu, and that is going to be the case, as you say. Rob Huff trying to get by Larini, but it is the two front runners who are in a class of their own. Montero just keeping himself clear of Larini. There is Priaulx, Genet, and then Farfus, 9th place. He's almost got pole for race 2 already from 13th on the grid, and there's no question that would have been his target, is to get up there and get himself sorted. Tielemans lost his front bumper. I wonder whether that was in the impact, whether he was punted into somebody as he was being spun, but no matter, he's out of it. Thompson in 11th place behind Tom Coronel. There's Farfus, Coronel 10th, Thompson 11th, 12th place Zanardi, Jourdain, Muller, Beltoise, Jörg Muller, that is 14th from 16th on the grid, so still making no progress this weekend. And in contrast, his teammate Augusto Farfus may well start race 2 from pole position. He's got 1 place to make up and 17 laps in which, or 16 laps after this, in which to do it. And I think that is definitely going to be his target for the weekend, is to get 8th and 1st, and that will reward the Schnitzer mechanics for a stunning overnight effort in rebuilding a car that he pretty comprehensively tubbed during qualifying. But Menu at the moment is really starting to pull away from Yvan Muller.
These two really are just that little bit quicker. We look at their times, they're both in the 23s, and the only two that are actually, in fact, doing 1 minute 23 around this circuit, 1:24 for the others. But you have to say that, Augusto Farfus, Martin, you pointed out, just a little bit quicker still. But look at that start, how they fanned out and went through there. And I'm looking to see where... And what was catching? It was somebody else on the inside.
Tielemans got across the nose of Coronel, and then that's where he lost the bumper, of course. So in fact, he was trying to turn in across Coronel, and he did not get hit from behind. And the view back from Anthony Beltoise, that's Stefano D'Aste, and that is Sergio Hernandez. They're the other two independents, and of course, although he will score points if he is categorised in the independents category, Beltoise is not in for the championship long run, so it won't be too much of a worry for the others. So here's our race leader then, Alain Menu from Yvan Muller. Thiago Monteiro already 3.7 seconds back, that's 2.5 behind Yvan Muller, the man we ride with. And testament to how hard they're trying. You can see the little puff of smoke from Menu's tyre, locking up every time they're at the Lycée hairpin as that rear wheel comes off the ground under braking. And the front drive cars sliding the tails here up the hill. Alain Menu still leading from Yvan Muller, lap 4 of 19. Thiago Monteiro making third his own as Larini and Huff can't quite get to grips then. Portiero, Prio and Jordi Genet in 8th place with pole for race 1 at the moment, with Augusto Farfus in 9th behind him. And there is Freitas with Rangoni and Emmett O'Brien trying to come up through the order. Manuel Freitas in 19th, Rangoni 20th, Emmett O'Brien 21st. Both Rangoni and O'Brien having trouble in the qualifying session. But no problems at all in qualifying for Menu and Muller, apart from possibly a tiny bit of traffic. Yellow flags, there are several yellow flags as drivers clip barriers and destroyed cars or partly destroyed cars, and that did affect a few drivers, but in any qualifying session there's always going to be the odd yellow flag no matter what circuit you're at. At the moment, Menu, after yesterday, was asked, has half the job been done? And he said, well, I suppose so, but 19 laps, it's still a long race, and at the moment he's doing everything he can to make sure that Yvan Muller is not in a pressure position. But look at Farfus.
Farfus really is putting Jordi Genet under a lot of pressure, but to get, you know, from his 13th place up there into 9th place, and that first lap was very good indeed. He really did take a lot of people and got himself right up there and gave himself a really good opportunity. He only really needs one more place. That will get him a point for this race. He'll put him on the front row for the second race. And just in front of this battle for the 8th place, of course, is Andy Prio, who is sitting in 7th now. Andy would very much, I'm sure, would like to move slightly further up and have more points, but I'm sure he's very aware that if he starts the next race on the front row, he's a good opportunity to try and win races and score 10 points. Of course, 10 points is very much what everyone wants to have a win, because when it comes to the end of the season, and if you are drawing on points like he has done in the past, the most number of wins takes the championship. So he would like that win, if at all possible. And while I'm sure he's not just sitting there thinking, I'll just sit in 7th behind Portero, and I'm quite happy, he would like to be past there, but so would Farfus like to be past Genet. Narrow circuit, very, very difficult indeed. And as
Jörg Muller puts in the move on Michel Jourdain, and that's going to be a long time happening, and Jourdain has the inside line.
That's for 13th place.
That's up to Pont Oscar. Jörg Muller still a very long way from points. He cuts back again to the inside. He's going around towards the outside at the Lycée hairpin, trying to force Jourdain into braking too late. Just behind is Beltoise. And Beltoise checking the mirrors. I think perhaps he felt a little rub there from behind under braking.
Yeah, that's D'Aste in the BMW giving him a hard time there. And there's a bit of smoke off that left-hand rear wheel. Yeah, he's definitely had a bodywork into that wheel there somewhere. Look at the front corners had a bit of a batter as well. So
I wonder whether that was sliding up against a barrier. He certainly ripped the front corner off it, whether that was contact with somebody else or contact with the barrier.
I think that was early on in one of the hairpins. They had a contact because he came to an almost dead stop. I think he obviously caught somebody on the way into one of them. one of the hairpins, but certainly on the twisty bit, he knows this circuit really well, and that's where he's making good use of that car to pull it away from the Asti, who's right behind him. But the first 6 now fairly settled into what they're doing. But we've got this battle, Priaulx, Genet, Farfus, and Farfus is the one that's really going to try and move. Muller, Jörg Muller, we've seen him in the past qualify badly and eventually work his way up through the race, but he's not working his way up as quick through this race. So much more difficult to be able to pass on these street circuits. There just isn't the space to take a dive through anywhere, but there we are. That's got a bit wrong there.
That's why Beltoise suddenly had Stefano D'Asti behind him, because as Jörg Muller tried to attack the car in front of him, of Michel Jourdain, he slowed into the hairpin, and Beltoise was inside him at that stage. So there is Portiero in 4th place, ahead of the in 3rd place, ahead of the 2 Chevrolets, and Farfus still unable to get by Jordi Genet. And Genet will defend like the dickens to try and hang on to that 8th place. And for Andy Priaulx, David, mixed feelings maybe. As a BMW driver, coolly and calmly you'd say, well, it'd be better if Farfus got into 8th place. Then there's a BMW front row for race 2. With Portiero behind them, it's going to be a BMW 1, 2, 3. But of course, the selfish driver inside wants Farfus to start in 9th, so that Priaulx can start on the front row with only Jordi Genet's front-wheel drive Seat to beat into the first corner, and then he can take maximum points and the race win. So he's got, you know, Andy Priaulx, the world champion hat on, swapping with Andy Priaulx, part of the BMW team hat, and it's a difficult combination to try and to wear. At the moment, as you said, he'll just try and maybe get an extra point by going past Portiero, but there's got to be a point, you know, maybe 5 or 6 laps from the end, where he will say, actually, I'm not going to try and pass him now and really risk everything. I'm just going to start on the front row. If Genet is still behind him at the line, then that'll be an ideal situation for Priaulx, because the chances are he will win race 2.
Without doubt, if you've got Genet right beside you and it's a front-wheel drive car, you're in a rear-wheel drive car off the line, you're going to get to that first corner before the front-wheel drive. But probably so are the 2 BMWs on the second row as well. So, no, I mean, he's got to be thinking about himself rather than thinking about the overall team BMW thing. Here's Rob Huff desperately trying to get past his teammate Nicola Larini, and I think Huff thinks if he can get past there, he can actually pull away and catch Montero, because Montero in 3rd place has pulled away from these 2 Chevrolets. Now that I was quite surprised about, because certainly up until qualifying, I have to say I thought these 2 were probably quicker than what Montero was. Montero did put in the necessary lap to put himself up there, but he is really going well as Montero. He's not losing that much on his teammate Ivan Muller in 2nd place. So the 2 Seats, 2nd and 3rd, doing a good job. Rob Huff really all over the back of Larini's car. Of course, not that far behind, you've got Montero and Priaulx, and then you've got the Genet and Farfus. Very close indeed, the top 9.
Yeah, I think the deal with Larini is that he is the #1 Chevrolet driver in terms of points at the moment. He's got 25, Menu's got 10, Huff's got 4. Here's the way it's going to work. Menu's going to get another 10, which brings him worryingly close to where Nicola Larini is. And if Larini gives away even 1 point to Huff, then the gap gets closer again. And don't forget how many years Larini was forced to play second fiddle to Fabrizio Giovanardi in the Alfa Romeo team in the European Touring Car Championship, because he didn't have enough points early on to be their top point scorer. And he does not want that to be happening in Chevrolet in a season where for the first time in 3 years Chevrolet have got a competitive winning car and have got a realistic championship winning chance for the driver as well as the manufacturers. So he wants to be the guy with all the points in the bag, and I think he doesn't want to let Huff through even for a sniff of an extra point if it means jeopardizing that position. And it might be better for Chevrolet perhaps if Huff got by. They might finish 3rd and 4th and 5th in a different order. Huff might possibly challenge Montero, but Larini at the moment is driving for Larini because they're in a, you know, no team orders, and he wants to be the man who's in the catbird seat if there is a position where everybody is supporting one driver. Riding with Ivan Muller, nearly halfway into, or just after halfway into round 7 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship around the streets of Po. Ivan Muller 2nd for Seat, Thiago Montero 3rd for Seat, but leading again for Chevrolet, as he did at Zandvoort, Alain Menu. claimed pole position in Zandvoort and here in Po, and running away with race 1 here. Yvan Muller challenged very hard indeed in qualifying David Leslie and was very close, but race performance just doesn't quite seem to have that edge that he had on Saturday.
No, he was very, very quick on Saturday for qualifying, but just not quite able to hang on to the back of that Chevrolet. Chevrolet's got a very good race setup. They always have had. The races have always been very consistent. Their qualifying was what let them down originally. Over the winter, they've worked hard on that. They've been able to get a lot more performance out of the car overall, and that's given them their qualifying as well as their race performance, and they can able to pull away. But I have to say, in 3rd place, Montero is impressing me today very much. But Larini and Huff still following each other. There they are. Portero and Prio right behind. Genet and Farfus right behind that. And I have to say that it's just, you know, Farfus will just needs a smallest opening and he'll take that opportunity, and he'll be past Genet and take that 8th place, which is what he desperately needs when it comes to the reverse grid.
Well, here he comes down to Pont Oscar again, all over the back of the Seat. And you can see that the BMW, this is like Mansell chasing Senna in the Active Williams around the streets of Monaco, where he was almost over the back wing of the McLaren so many times. He was approaching with so much extra speed, and yet, you almost need the complicity of the driver in front to make a safe pass here. We saw it in the International Formula Masters race yesterday, that even the sniff of a half of a fraction of a chance is all you're going to get to make a pass. And Genet had better be absolutely resolute, because Farfus is going to stick his nose in. He wants 8th place and pole for race 2. He wants those points, but more than anything, he wants to reward those boys at the Schnitzer team for rebuilding the car that he barrel rolls at the end of qualifying. And here he comes again. Now, this is a really good section of the track from the chicane down for the Seat, because you saw how close Farfus was. As they get onto the straight, he's 2 or 3 car lengths behind the Seat, and it takes him almost all the way to Pont Oscar here to catch that back up.
That's right, and I don't know, as much as he's trying to hang on to the back of that Seat, certain parts of the circuit he's all over it like a rash, but in other parts he just isn't quite close enough. Montero, and I think, is actually catching a little bit onto the back of
Yvan Muller. I think he is, yeah.
But there's Farfus already back onto the tail of that Seat of Jordi Genet. Genet really using all the circuit. He actually has a couple of times used a curb on the exit of that corner at the Virage de la Gare. Really struggling. I think he's spending more time looking in his mirror trying to keep Farfus behind than he is concentrating on trying to catch the guys in front. And easy over the first part of the curb on that chicane, hard over the second part before it goes downhill round the left-hander out. Look at that, he just would like to take a wider line in there, but he knows he daren't.
Yeah.
If it does, that'll be a problem. Oh, smashed
now
wheel.
That's a BMW.
That's
Whose is that? It is Alex Zanardi in the pits. Now, Genet, despite the fact he's got that pressure, do you know he was only 5/1000ths of a second?
Oh, one of the...
Oh, that's Larini.
Puncture. Oh, smashed a suspension.
The suspension. He's hit that little island in the middle of the chicane too hard, would be my guess. And that is Larini out of 4th place, so Huff up to 4th. And that gives Farfus, without having to pass Genet, pole position for race 2.
Yep.
So all his dreams have come to pass. Now, that was the one concept that... now, I wonder whether that was under pressure from Huff that Larini made a mistake and tagged the wall. But whatever, Farfus up to 8th place. I was going to say, Genet just 5/100ths of a second slower on the previous lap than Yvan Muller in 2nd place, despite having Farfus all over his back bumper.
That's right, but what's happened there is because Larini's had the problem, he slowed Huff down in doing so, and Huff now fell back into the clutches of the Portero Prio battle that's right behind him. So he's too far away now to get anywhere near this guy. So Montero, here he comes. Here comes Huff.
Many the leader, and then Seat 2nd and 3rd with Yvan Muller and Felix and Thiago Montero. As you say, Huff 4th, then Felix Porchero, Andy Prio, Jordi Genet 7th, Augusto Farfus in 8th place. And undoubtedly the Schnitzer team will have got on the radio immediately and said, don't risk it trying to pass Genet, because you have got pole for race 2 already. Sit where you are and count the point and wait for race 2.
And I'm sure it's exactly what Andy Priaulx is doing. He's going for the championship, not going for outright race wins. He will in the next race when he's starting near the front of the grid. And I think he'll be starting and following Gustav Farfus, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think so too.
But, you know, we say these things, but everything can change. We've seen at the very last race meeting at Valencia. The second race got turned upside down on its head because everybody was going everywhere, overtaking everybody else, and it was just we didn't know what was going to happen next. And it could be exactly the same here at Pau. And while, you know, that is Priaulx hanging on to the back of Potero. Huff trying to stretch himself away now that he doesn't have Larini in front of him, but Larini obviously held him back, which has put him back into the clutches. But they are still front-wheel drives, a little bit quicker on the twistier circuits than what the BMWs are.
Well, the BMWs at the moment are 5th Porchero, 6th Priaulx and 8th Farfus. So that does have all the hallmarks of a BMW 1, 2, 3 in race 2. But again, let's not count our chickens because things can change. Jörg Müller incidentally up to 11th behind James Thompson in 10th, Tom Coronel in 9th. But it is the top 8 in race 1 that get reversed grid positions. So your race winner, Alain Menu, will start in 8th place, and Priaulx having a little look, having a little run at Porchero. Here we go now. It's an extra point, but it's 1 place further back in race 2.
It's so, still on the second row.
Yeah, that's true enough.
These two will be on the second. If they finished the way they are now, these two will be on the second row.
Yeah.
Both of them. But Huff now stretching himself away from these two. But you can see how easy it is to be quick, but trying to get past somebody is different altogether. It's just so much more difficult being so narrow and just no mistakes being allowed to be made because of the curbs and because of the barriers there.
Closing stages of round 7 of the World Touring Car Championship here at Pau, and Alain Menu making it all look very straightforward for Chevrolet. Touch wood, because we don't want to be handing out commentators' curses to anybody on this circuit. Yvan Muller in 2nd place, just not able. And is that Beltoise? No, it's not.
Tarquini, 11.
That is Tarquini from 19th on the grid. He is now in the pits from 19th in the race. So he had made no progress whatsoever. You could hear the air hammers there as they get to work preparing the car for race 2. But he's going to have a very forgettable weekend here at Pau. Gabriele Tarquini was 5th in the championship coming here, and he will drop a long way down.
Yes, that's a bit unfortunate for Tarquini. He had that 10-place drop because of incidents at the last race meeting which didn't help him at all. He did qualify reasonably well in 9th place, so he had an opportunity to try and get some sort of points out of it, but not with the 10-place drop, and then now having a problem. Maybe he's done the same as the other guys and caught a curb somewhere and damaged a wheel. But this is the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. Oh, and he's going to try still up the inside.
For the first time he's got
space.
Genet wide enough.
He's got space.
Genet couldn't turn in. He was worried about the BMW there. Now he's given it away because it doesn't matter, because it's no longer 9th. It's pole for race 1, for race 2. It doesn't matter now.
But so, still,
yeah, but
it's an extra point.
It was a mistake by Genet. He got a little wide, and he must have known. You know, if you've got any spatial awareness, David, you'll know as a driver, you're offline and you know the door's open, and you know without question Farfus is coming in. So there's no point in defending. And now, look, he's still on the front row of the grid. And you're right, it is a point given away, but he'd made the mistake. What was the option? Turn in, spin out, hit the barriers.
It was a mistake. He made a mistake, you know, the corner earlier, basically, and Farfus had the run up towards there. He just couldn't get it into that corner. You know, I'm sure if he tried a little bit harder, he could have turned in, but it would have been an accident. And these guys know that they need to finish races, not to score points. And if you're starting off the front row of the second race, you know, that's going to be another opportunity to score great points. And it's just so difficult to pass around this circuit. You've got to take every opportunity you can if it's presented to you on a plate. And Farfus said, "Oh, thank you very much, I'll take that." And look how much he's stretching away.
Yeah,
he's going to be very quick. 23.7 is his best lap. We can't quite see what the last laps are on our time screen at the moment.
Well, the next one will be the one that counts, I think, because when he completes his next lap in clear traffic, that may well end up being as quick as anybody else out there. But at the moment, still, Alain Menu, fastest lap of the race, 23.054. He's quicker by 0.2 of a second, nearly a full quarter of a second than anybody else out there. So he is still going astonishingly quickly. Priaulx still hassling Porchero. Again, as you say, David, every single point counts. And you might think, well, 6th or 5th, what's the difference? You know, 3 points or 2 points. Well, the difference is if you walk away from Macau on Sunday evening, having lost the championship by 1 point, 3 points in Po or 2 points and sitting back and cruising might be what you come to regret. And Priaulx is not a driver who will ever want to walk away at the end of a championship thinking, if only I had done something different.
That's right, and you know, he's out there now in 6th place with Farfus in 7th. I've got a funny feeling with the couple of laps that are left that Farfus really will be right on their tail at the end of this race.
I agree, and Farfus is not quite so burdened down by penalty weight. He's 15 kilos lighter than Priaulx with a 40 kilo ballast, but still, I mean, he's showing remarkable pace. Don't forget, Menu only 5 kilo ballast on board, and that will all change for next time out, of course. But at the moment, he is really making hay while the sun shines. And again, savvy driving from Menu. Priaulx, though, of course, we talk about the points, still the only driver to have scored points in every race so far this season.
Oh, look at Beltoir's car. There's hardly anything left of it now, back or front.
It's a loaner. All he's going to do is take it back and leave it in the airport parking lot with the keys in the letterbox overnight, you know. So, my Lord.
Wide through there with a big slide.
That is lurid.
Hey, look at that, one front corner's gone and both rear corners have been battered. But we did see earlier on, when the people were behind him, they really were giving him a really hard time. That was Hernandez and Diaz that were giving a hard time. But they've both passed and gone now with the BMWs.
Yeah, so he's got Miguel Freitas behind him at the moment. This is Luca Rangoni chasing Sergio Hernandez chasing Stefano D'Aste. That is the independence lead. Stefano D'Aste has the lead at the moment. And Luca Rangoni wants it. Of course, they won't reverse their positions. Lap 19 then, final
last
one.
lap, and you can see Ivan Muller's, Alain Menu's eased off a little bit. The gap's come down a little bit to Ivan Muller. Ivan's still pushing hard, knowing that any mistake made at all, he needs to try and capitalise on that, needs to be there to be able to do it. But following them closely as well, not far away, is Montero. I have to say, really impressed with his drive today. Yeah,
despite the fact he's been fast, he hasn't been lucky, Montero. Didn't race a course in Brazil. The deal was done literally in the week of the race weekend of Brazil. He went to Brazil with the team to watch, started at Zandvoort. He's only got 5 points on the board, but that is going to change here because he'll get another 6. He'll go up to 11 points, and that'll put him, well, just one ahead of where Alain Menu is now, but obviously Menu will add another 10 points to that as he goes across the line to win here. Only 2 point scores this season, Alain Menu. Race 1 win in Zandvoort, race 1 win in Po, and that is something he will want to correct, not winning races but only scoring points occasionally. Ivan Muller 2nd, Montero 3rd, Rob Huff 4th, Felix Porchero 5th, Andy Priaulx 6th, Augusto Farfus 7th, miles ahead of Jordi Genet in 8th, Coronel 9th, Tomo 10th, obviously nothing too much wrong with the Alpha in this morning's warm-up. Jörg Muller 11th, Jourdain 12th, Stefano D'Aste winning the Independence Trophy by a short head from Sergio Hernandez. Then Anthony Beltoir's in a considerably lighter Seat Leon than that which started the race with him on board, as he's knocked bits off left, right and centre. And hopefully the commentary on TF1 was as entertaining as you might imagine it might have been around a busy circuit like this. But it's victory for Alain Menu, his 2nd of the season, as he wins again in the World Touring Car Championship for Chevrolet. So he is Chevrolet's winningest driver so far in World Touring Car competition, and he scores another vital 10 points here in France. Alain Menu, the winner of race 1 in Po. Round 7 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship goes to the Swiss, to the Chevrolet driver. And what's going on with the bow ties? Where are the famous RML bow ties? We didn't have those, did we? Alain Menu then the winner from Yvan Muller, first and second in qualifying. Thiago Monteiro takes third. Rob Huff fourth after Nicola Larini exited the race. Felix Portiero ahead of Andy Priaulx, Augusto Farfus, 3 BMs, 5th, 6th and 7th. And Jordi Genet, 8th position, will have pole for race 2. But David, important for Farfus after that qualifying crash. He would have started third. He was dropped to 13th as a result of a penalty from Valencia, but he's really fought his way back into contention and has every chance of a win in race 2 here in France.
I think he's got a fantastic opportunity to score more points than anybody else this weekend, and even after such an incident at the end of qualifying yesterday where he had turned it upside down, he should be able to start off the front row of the grid. We know he's going to start off the front of the grid. He's going to start off the second position. It's a standing start. He will be able to get himself out and away, and I'm pretty sure he'll be first into that first corner. Andy Priaulx right behind him, and I think the real battle will be for those two.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can see Sebastian there with the camera. Let's hear from Alain Menu right now, if we can. Just before Fabio Ravioli, the delegate, takes him away.
This track suits you very well. Yeah, it's our second pole actually, because I had pole in Zandvoort as well. But yeah, I mean, pole, winning pole, you know, it's such a difficult track, you know, not to make a mistake. And I was pushing hard the first half of the race, and then I had a gap to Yvan, so I could afford to slow down just a little bit in the critical points of the track. So I'm very happy for Chevrolet and the boys. They did a very good job for me.
Well, they did a fantastic job, and he really capitalised, didn't he? As he said, he got away early, and that was key, because it then meant he could give himself an extra couple of hundredths of a second of breathing space on the brakes, just another millimetre or two away from the barriers, and that's what you need. You need the space. There is the Chevrolet bow tie, Eric Nibs wearing it, so good for him. I'm sure Mark Busfield had his on this morning, although we didn't notice it, David. It's a tradition at the RML team to celebrate successes by Bussy wearing the bow tie, and Eric Nibs seems to have taken to that very happily as well.
You can see a nice spread of sharing out between the three manufacturers, Chevrolet, Seat and BMW. Chevrolet would have been there with their third car had it not had a problem with the front suspension, which I think will be inflicted because of hitting one of the curbs or some of the curbs around this very tight circuit. But a nice spread there, and James Thompson getting himself up into 10th place, which was a good result for him from where he started.
Well, of course, that makes Alain Menu our second two-time race winner this season. James Thompson was the first. He hogged all the points in Valencia, rather greedily winning race 1 and 2. There's Bussy with his bow tie on. So, championship leader is now Andy Priaulx, solus from Jörg Muller, 1 ahead of Augusto Farfus, and that's certain to change in race 2. Larini and Yvan Muller. And Alain Menu now puts himself up into the top 8 in the championship. And Thiago Monteiro, 10th place as well, with a big point score today, more than doubling his points so far. And Monteiro, again, really maturing as a driver. I have to say, actually, really maturing as well. In the past, I've been very happy to criticise Augusto Farfus for his random moments, but I think he is really maturing as a driver this year, more than ever before, and he certainly has every potential to end this season as a world champion. And perhaps race 2 will be another step on that ladder. Despite his qualifying crash, he, along with Alain Menu and Yvan Muller, have been the pacemen here this weekend in Pau, and Farfus determined to keep himself right in the fray. Race 2 comes up later this afternoon, live on Eurosport. In the interim, International Formula Masters will have its second race around the streets of Pau. But we leave you with some of the highlights, the incidents and the accidents from round 7 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. Thiago Monteiro on the podium and looking very happy with himself, and why wouldn't he, David? It's his first World Touring Car podium, and that's a big step for him. Yvan Muller, the only other Seat driver ahead of him, or even close to him, is in second position, but with enough space to breathe and enjoy the victory. Swiss Alain Menu claims the race 1 win here in Pau. Job done, 50% in qualifying, job done 100% in the race. Stefano D'Aste joins them as the Independence Trophy winner, the Vica Sport BMW driver, just ahead of Sergio Hernandez. And we wait for the Swiss anthem for our race winner. But first for the winning team, Eric Neve. Come on boys, get the anthem going. So chance for some quiet relaxation, and for the Chevrolet crew, probably very little at all to do to Menyu's car before race 2.
Voilà pour l'hymne constructeur et en l'honneur.
Seems the Swiss have been annexed by the United States of America then.
Voilà, applaudissements pour cette victoire.
So there you go, the Swiss national anthem for Alain Menu, and of course the Star Spangled Banner for the winning constructor Chevrolet. The American marque, General Motors' main brand, of course run by RML, Ray Malek's team in Wellingborough, Northamptonshire. Thiago Monteiro then, the Portuguese ex-Formula 1 driver, claims his first World Championship podium in the World Touring Car Championship. And if memory serves, it's not his first FIA World Championship podium. I think he had a podium position in Formula 1 in the Indy race 2 years ago when only the Bridgestone cars raced. Was that correct? Seems to be anyway. Some trifling insignificant minor series anyway. Oh, here comes Le Patrouille, the French equivalent of the Red Arrows, flying overhead to celebrate this race weekend here at Pau. Ivan Muller, second place then, and Alain Menu, our race winner. So that is it then pretty much for race 1 here in Pau, and please do join us for race 2 live from the streets of this beautiful foothills of the Pyrenees French city. Till then, from Pau, from the production crew, from everybody at the World Touring Car Championship, from David Leslie and from myself, Martin Haven. Till we meet again, bye for now.